Alright, I was trying to think about how to set the stage for this video to really put it in proper context on why I am reviewing the Surface Laptop Go. Now, for a quick overview on the specs, without drowning you with spec information you can probably look up yourself, this is the i5 10th generation Intel Core i5 model with 128 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM. So with that being said, just to get the specs out of the way real quick, I got this because I primarily have been using a MacBook Air M1 and have been using a MacBook, even the older model, since the last one before the M1 was released. And with being caught up in the ecosystem of Apple and really just getting caught up in that, I said, let me go back to Windows. With Windows 11 coming out and everything, let me just kind of see what it's like to just go back to Windows before I even download Windows 11 and see if there's anything I missed or see if there's any differences from a professional standpoint. What I do in real estate, that's the context, that's setting the stage for why I ended up getting this and the whole purpose of why I decided to review this. So what's happening, everyone? It's Adam. Welcome back. First thing I want to talk about in my just real world experience without overthinking anything is the design and how I feel like it's probably the biggest flaw of how they designed it because of these little things for me that were a major turnoff. And number one is the speakers coming through the keyboard. Now, I'd rather have clarity, especially since I made a lot of conference calls with this and a lot of just soft phone calls and listening to music, YouTube, content, whatever I was doing that had to do with sound. I really tested this and I noticed you have to turn it up really loud, but all it does is distort the sound. It doesn't sound good at all. So I would have rather had a little speaker through the hinge right here where I can actually get some clarity, even if it didn't get loud, rather than having to turn it up anyway to get it loud, thinking I'm going to hear more clarity, and it just didn't make a difference. So for me, especially with working from home, I don't want to be wearing headphones all day or wearing earbuds all day. I like to just use the native speakers that are built into the product. And it's been like that since the beginning of this year. I kind of just had major ear fatigue. I use a lot of headphones. Sometimes it's nice to have a break without having to do that for a while. Now the next thing was I took this out for a coffee shop the first day I got it, and I already had a lot of content on my camera. Actually, there's a few videos I edited that I posted on the channel since getting this, I think about 3 weeks ago, that I edited with this and using Adobe and this and that. Now, when I was at the coffee shop, I'm like, okay, they have the charging port right here, right? But I'm using a SD card reader that I've been using on my MacBook because this has USB-C. I said, why get another one? Let me just use this. I plug it in. I'm like, cool, ready to go with content. I get my earbuds and I try to plug in the headphone jack on the right side like I am used to with my MacBook. They don't have it. So I was stuck being like this for a while where I had to actually play it loud in the coffee shop what videos were the right ones that I didn't have mess ups with or anything, and then unplug it and then put my headphones in. And that's another major flaw I noticed right off the bat with the hardware design. And that may or may not be a big deal, but yes, I know you can charge it on the right side, but to me, I'm so used to that combination of using USB-C while I'm charging my MacBook and having my headphones plugged in wired, because when you're editing content, it just does better. There's no latency, there's no lag. There's so many times I've had headphones disconnect when I was using iMovie or when I was using Adobe just to edit videos because it was Bluetooth. So to me, that's the main reason why I brought that up. All right. I know it sounds like I don't like this at all, but I figured I'd bring those up because that may or may not be a deal breaker for a lot of people. So, but there are a lot of good things about this laptop. So number one favorite thing about the hardware is the fact that it has a touchscreen display. For me, I'm just so not used to that with the MacBook, and it helps depending on your posture. And that's the best way I can put it, where I have a standing desk and I stand while I'm getting work done a lot. And sometimes I just like to lean over, and it's nice not having to sit back and use the little cursor on this trackpad. And that's kind of the combo on why I like it a lot, is the trackpad is not the most accurate. It's not metal or glass. It's just plastic. And it doesn't work the best. It's just kind of hard to get fluidity out of it, especially if you're doing a lot of things quick. Like if you're copying and pasting, or if you're on a call and you need to select things, it's kind of nice if you have this open where it clicks pretty loud to just touch the screen. Especially if you're on a Zoom call, you can share certain windows and images. And if you're on a conference call, it's nice to silently select things and not have to be clicking a trackpad that's really loud. So for me, I've even gotten into the habit of touching on my MacBook screen I have right over here on my desk, and there's a few fingerprints because I just got so used to that convenience. And it depends on what you do. You know, if you're doing video editing, it's nice to just kind of zoom in and out with your fingers, or to just kind of drag stuff with your finger. And again, it's because the trackpad is not the best. It's pretty quirky. It just doesn't feel very fluid. Again, that's the best way I can put it. Now the keyboard, I like how soft the keyboard is and how quiet it is. It doesn't make a lot of noise. I mean, maybe because my microphone's really close, it sounds a little loud, but it's just very quiet. It feels really smooth. I like the way it doesn't attract fingerprints really easily. And yes, this model has the fingerprint sensor. So the keyboard itself plus the touchscreen really make the design a huge plus for me when it comes to liking this. It's just the trackpad and the other flaws I mentioned where I go, man, they were so close, but maybe the next go around they'll make it better. Now the display is a 12 by 4 inch Pixel Sense 60 Hz 1536 by 1024 148 pixel per inch 3 by 2 aspect ratio display. Now what does that mean when you're not being a nerd, right? Well, what that means is it's not going to have as much clarity as, let's say, my MacBook M1, but it has enough clarity to where it doesn't feel cheap in quality. Again, there's something about the shallowness, or when you look at a laptop's display quality, where if you can't play 4K or even 1080p looks like it's 720, it just kind of turns you off a little bit. I mean, coming from the iPhone world, everyone knows how the XR went down when that came out. The fact that you couldn't even play 4K, it wasn't OLED, it does make a big difference, especially if the screen is what you're looking at all day. But how I felt about the display of this is it doesn't look cheap in quality at all. I mean, it's not as clear as other displays, especially that you can get for this price, but it's good enough to where I'm like, I think they added that touch display to compromise for the quality of the display. Now, when it comes to the battery life of this thing, I got about 13 hours at 40%, and that's not really playing anything consistently. That's just on screen time and going in and out of playing content and really editing videos, having multiple tabs open. It was about 14 hours at 40% brightness without doing anything else. So we're talking having the internet browser open and doing everything that's internet based for that long of time. So going back to performance and how many tabs I have open or what it is that I do in a working day, let's just say because I'm in real estate, I have a soft phone open, so I have a software open, an app I use where I make phone calls from, and I use Google Voice. I use Google Hangouts with the teams I work with and people I work with, and then I also use Zoom, and then I use the Adobe software for content creation, the Adobe Rush I mentioned, and that's pretty much it. Also Zillow, because of being in real estate, and Google Sheets. So pretty sure, and then YouTube for in between breaks of watching content. So with all that being said, with using that in an 8-hour day, did I notice any lag? Did I notice any hiccups of me being like, man, this thing feels cheap. You know, the processor doesn't work right. It should have got more RAM. Honestly, no. And that's having 5 different YouTube tabs open because I'm one of those people where instead of watching the video, I'll click on it, I'll right click, save later, and keep that tab open so I don't lose it until, that sounded so funny, but until I go back to that video. And then when I go back to that video, then that's when I close out of the tab. So with having all that stuff constantly running, didn't notice any issues. All right, so hopefully this has been helpful so far with my real day in the life and usage of this. But now let's get into a webcam and microphone test to see how that performs if this is your only device. All right, this is me in front of a window with the natural lighting, so this is what you can expect even with good lighting coming in, facing you. I mean, it had to be really, really bright to make a difference, but I think the best thing about the webcam or this computer is the microphones. Other than that, I mean, these computers have a long way to go before they actually make you look really good. Is this laptop worth $699? Yes, I think it is. Despite what I said about the speakers and the other flaws and everything, I just feel like for that price, the way it performs and how good it feels in the hand and how easy it is just to work, it's just a sweet little device to use. It's hard to really complain besides those complaints. But that's really because I'm comparing it to a device way more expensive than what this is and what I think the purpose of this is for. I think this is mainly for students, people doing minor content creation, and if you need something just to get work done on. where it's like, hey, I just need to do a lot of internet-based stuff. I'm not doing anything intensive like playing gaming or anything. And I'll even throw this in there. So apps like Snagit seem to work better on Windows than they work on my MacBook. With my MacBook, I had to allow permissions to, I had to do all kinds of crazy stuff to, disable security preferences and all this and that just to use a screen recording app. And I'm like, God dang, I'm not used to that. Where Windows, it just works. Where they just have a more open software, more easy to use software for things like that, for apps like that. Another one is Logitech. So I use the Logitune app with a headset I use for all my professional calls, even when I'm working at home, but especially when I'm in a coffee shop. And for some reason on my Apple MacBook M1, I couldn't use a equalizer for that app, but I could use it if I used it with the Windows device. And I did a split test of using the microphone with the Windows device versus my MacBook. For some reason, my MacBook, the volume switches back and forth. Like the software just doesn't know how to perform with the headset. Whereas when I use it with here, if I put the microphone level at 80%, it stays at 80%. And I get the equalizer and it sounds richer. I don't know what it is. I haven't really got too much in depth with that. But there's things I notice like that where I go, man, for the price of this compared to that MacBook, there's things professionally that still just work better. I guess another way I can put it is if you are a content creator, a musician, you're gonna do music production, a lot of photo video editing, that's what you get Apple products for and MacBooks for. I feel like those work way better with that stuff. For professional use, where you're in real estate or you do a lot of data stuff or a lot of coding, a lot of things like that, I kind of feel like it probably works better on Windows PCs than it does MacBooks. MacBooks just seem like they're meant for artists. Windows PCs seem like they're meant for the more serious, boring work professionals like accountants, real estate professionals, people that do a lot of stuff with documents and whatnot. I don't know how else to put it, but that's honestly how I feel. So thanks for watching this video. I think it's totally worth the price. It's going to be a nifty device I'll have for a while, but I hope this review helped. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you all on the next one.